Business. It is Business 360 and my name is Bladenke. On Business 360 this morning, FIFA and 5 football associations have faced class action lawsuits worth billions following Lassana Diarra's landmark victory. We'll begin with a bit of entertainment business. A Dutch Foundation Justice for Players is preparing a legal claim against FIFA and 5 national football associations, seeking billions of euros in it. The compensation for an estimated 100,000 professional footballers, according to NOS reports. A multiple understanding indicates that the foundation announced its intention to file the lawsuit with the Netherlands District Court, asserting that FIFA's transfer regulation have unfairly restricted players' ability to earn income since 2002. This collective action is made positive by a landmark court ruling in favor of former Real Madrid player Diarra, which deemed FIFA are named in the lawsuit. In addition, 31 associations have been notified of the case. This legal battle has been brewing for years, but the tipping point was the European Court of Justice ruling on the case of Diarra. The French midfielder had a long-running dispute with Lokomotiv Moscow, which led to a hefty 10.5 million euros fine, and him being prevented from joining a new club after he terminated his contract. Diarra had challenged FIFA's regulations on the status and transfer of players of workers within the European Union. Foreseeable and potential of that contract, the Diarra case targets a different aspect of player rights, the ability to terminate a contract prematurely. The ruling provides a crucial legal foundation for a new class action, suggesting that FIFA's rule went too far in protecting clubs at the expense of player freedom. As in the context of business, Tesla has granted its chief executive, Elon Musk. Tesla has granted its chief executive, Elon Musk, $29 billion worth of its shares in an attempt to keep the billionaire at the firm. The move comes after the U.S. court struck down his 2018 pay package worth more than $50 billion, ruling that it was unfair to shareholders. Musk has been appealing against the decision made by the Delaware court in 2024, and on Monday, Tesla told shareholders it was confident that the $29 billion of shares will incentivize Elon to remain at Tesla, especially as the war for AI talent is intensifying. The award should boost Musk's voting power on the electric car company's board. In India defends Russian oil imports amid U.S. tariff threat. India pushed back against criticism from the U.S. and EU over its Russian oil imports, calling the stance unjustified and unreasonable. A foreign ministry spokesperson, Rashi Jawal, said on Monday that the purchases were crucial for securing affordable and stable fuel prices for Indian consumers. The statement followed U.S. President Donald Trump's threat to impose steep tariffs on India for trading in Russian oil. Jawal noted the hypocrisy of such criticism, stating the very nations criticizing India are themselves indulging in trade with Russia, and unlike India, the trade is not driven by vital national needs. He added that India turned to Russian oil only after the Ukraine war disrupted traditional supply chains, with many suppliers shifting focus to Europe. At the time, the United States had even encouraged India's purchases as a way to stabilize global energy market, Jawal said. Namibia and Zambia are set to make cross-border travel between their countries easier by allowing citizens to use national identification cards instead of passports. The arrangement follows a similar agreement between Namibia and Botswana earlier this year. Zambia's High Commissioner emphasized the strong historical ties between the two nations. Namibia's Minister of Home Affairs, Immigration, Safety and Security, Dr. Albert Kawana, made the announcement during Zambia's 59th Independence Day celebration in Windhoek. He revealed that both governments are working closely to implement the new travel arrangements. In Zimbabwe, let's talk about Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe has announced existing agricultural dams around the nation in a bid to defend its agricultural produce against climate disasters. The initiative is part of a larger program to irrigate 350,000 hectares by 2028 and enhance food security and resilience. Preparations are in place for an expected wetter than usual La Nina season in 2025-2026 to efficiently manage water resources. In Ghana, Ghana's government increases the producer price of cocoa by 62.58%. The government of Ghana has announced a significant rise in the producer price of cocoa for the 2025-2026 season, increasing it from $3,100 to $5,040 per ton, a 62.58% increase in dollar terms. The announcement was made by the Producer Price Review Committee, chaired by the Minister for Finance, Dr. Cassiel Oef. This increase aligns with a pledge to ensure cocoa farmers receive 70% of the free on-board value. The new price was determined amidst a favorable exchange rate and declining inflation, reflecting economic adjustments. Still in Africa, China reaffirms zero tariff access for Ghana despite new U.S. trade tariffs. China's ambassador to Ghana, Tong Deta, has reaffirmed Beijing's commitment to granting zero tariff access to products from Ghana and 52 other partner countries. The move, he said, is part of China's broader efforts to strengthen diplomatic and economic cooperation across Africa. China encourages Ghanaian businesses to leverage access to its vast consumer market. And now we'll go on a quick break, and when we're back, Business 360 will continue looking at fundamental analysis in Nigeria. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. It's your Business 360, and my name is Bladukem. From the context of Nigeria, United Nations are to shut 150 clinics in Nigeria amid aid cuts. The United Nations World Food Programme, WFP, will shut half of its clinics in Nigeria's conflict-hit northeast this month, as dwindling donor support forces the agency to scale back humanitarian operation. With more than 150 WFP-supported nutrition clinics in Borno and Yobe are set to close if funding is not renewed. Over 300,000 children under the age of 2 lose access to potential life-saving treatment. This is no longer just a humanitarian crisis, said WFP Country Director David Stevenson. It's a growing threat to regional stability. Despite urgent appeal for $130 million to sustain its programs through 2025, it has received no funding to continue food and nutrition assistance for 1.3 million people. Nigeria is facing a deepening food crisis, with a record 31 million people experiencing food insecurity, according to the UN. The situation is particularly dire in the insurgency and ravaged northeast, where nearly 20% of the population is grappling with acute hunger. Still in Nigeria, following the International Monetary Fund's upward revision of Nigeria's 2025 GDP growth forecast to 3.4% from 3%, business sentiment across the country is showing renewed optimism. The improved outlook, driven by stronger oil output, erosion is boosting investor confidence and could translate to lower borrowing costs for businesses. The IMF also analysts at Meristem in their weekly report said that these improved focus already signaled improved sentiments and increased confidence in Nigeria's economic direction. Meanwhile, the African Export-Import Bank, Afreximbank, has announced the signing of a $1.35 billion financing facility for Dangote Industries Limited as part of a $4 billion syndicated loan. The fund aims to refinance capital for the Dangote Petroleum Refinery. Production surged to 1.8 million barrels per day in July 2025 to surpass the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, a quarter of 1.5 million barrels per day for the first time since last year. The Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, Abenga Komolafe, disclosed this at an energy conference. Komolafe said Nigeria's current oil output now averages 1.78 million barrels per day. He noted that the last time Nigeria hit 1.8 million barrels per day was in November 2024. Komolafe said the output increase, largely possible, due to the step-up in security operations, is part of a push to boost oil production from 1 million barrels per day to 3 million barrels per day. Nigeria, Africa's largest oil producer, relies on crude oil for nearly two-thirds of government revenue and over 80% of foreign currency earnings, making production gains critical for stabilizing its economy. And now to the power sector. State governments have lambasted the Enugu Electricity Distribution Company following a major reduction in electricity supply from INEC for onward distribution to residents of Enugu states. Based on the power cuts, the states declared their resolve to begin the process of licensing new power distribution companies in order to break the monopolies of existing discos, describing the action of EEDC as blackmail and arm twisting. The states further insisted on their regulatory powers to determine the cost of tariffs in their various domains, stressing that the Electricity Act had expressly given them the authority to do so. The Forum of Commissioners of Power and Energy in Nigeria declared that states would not succumb to blackmail, especially as the Enugu Electricity Distribution Company reduced power supply to Enugu states due to a tariff cuts. And now we'll go on another quick break, and when we're back, our Business 360 continues looking at the markets. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. It's your Business 360, and my name is Vlad. And now looking at the markets as precious metals surge to historic heights as central banks drive unprecedented demand. Central bank gold purchases total 244 tons in the first quarter and 166 tons in the second quarter of 2025, maintaining the structural support that has underpinned the precious metal rally.